of these, all of this color that you see, all the little gray lines that you see here are census block boundaries. So I'm going to zoom in a bit more so you can see those in greater detail. So all of these lines, and again, it's going to take a second to refresh, but all of these lines are census block boundaries. And zoom in a bit more so you can see some of the color variation. So if you refer to the scale up in the top right-hand corner, what you're looking at are all the yellow areas are census blocks that have between 0 and 8.49 households per square mile. So we're talking about household density, how closely the households are located to one another. And as you think about broadband deployment, unless you're thinking about some sort of mobile or wireless type of transmission, the density of households impacts significantly a provider's ability to deploy service, because it's cheaper to deploy wireline assets, in areas where households are more closely, located to one another. And so what this particular view allows you to do is to take a look at the unserved areas where household density, areas that are still unserved by any type of broadband connectivity, where households are actually fairly close together. And so what this will do is allow you to identify the most low-hanging fruit in the state, where households are concentrated and yet unserved. And so if we take a look at some of these census blocks, if you take a look at the scale, as the color shifts from yellow to light green to teal blue to navy, the navy color actually represents 85.5, a household density of 85.5 households per square mile. And there are still some of those. You see some of those here on the map. And I mentioned this identify tool, which I think, or the search demographics tool, which I think is you're going to find to be really interesting. What this will do is allow you to take a look at the unserved statistics for a particular census block. So you can click on the unserved information in the drop-down box here, and click on a particular census block. I'll zoom in so you can see. And what this does is allows us to take a look at the demographics for that particular census block. So we see here, and I know it's kind of hard to see from a distance, but what this data shows is that there is one served household in this census block. There are 19 unserved households in the census block with a total of 20, and the block is considered a rural block. And the unserved square mileage is 0.74 square miles. So this is a fairly densely populated area, not as densely populated per se as these areas that are darker blue in coverage or in color. And we can click on those as well and take a look at the unserved statistics for those. So we see that the unserved square mileage is 0.025 square miles. There are 5 total households here. 4 of them are unserved and 1 is served. And this is where the switching over to the aerial imagery view actually helps. And so if we apply that and adjust the transparency back so you can see underneath, in most cases, and again, this is not a perfect science, and we're going to be refining this map over time, but if you look underneath this area, these are the households. These are the physical households that remain unserved if we were to look in this particular census block. And you can do this same sort of analysis for any single census block in the state. There are, if we zoom out a bit, you can see that there are some census blocks that are very, very large in size. This one, for instance, which is 22.59 square miles in size. And there are only 25 households in this entire census block. And so the household density is extremely low, and this is a block that is going to be very difficult for a broadband service provider to serve. And so I hope that as you dive in your own time into this map and its features, that you'll spend some time taking a look at these analytical features that are now enabled by this map. And ultimately what this does is allow you and the Broadband Advisory Task Force to identify the priority areas in terms of how many people can we impact. If we're going to work on a deployment issue in northeast Minnesota, where are the areas that should be targeted first to make sure that they at least have access to that minimum threshold of broadband service. And that's what this analytical tool will allow you to do.